She's a real pain in the... Welcome to the Pain in My Cast podcast with yours truly, Cassandra Jean. Hey guys, welcome to In the Lobby podcast. Our guest celebrated his 27th birthday yesterday.
Happy belated.
Yeah, happy birthday. We have Matthew Iommi, the CEO of Fetii, in the lobby with us today. Did you do anything fun for your birthday yesterday?
Yeah, so a couple days prior, me and the team and some friends went out. We went to Electric Shuffle, if you've ever
I
been.
have not. No.
It's do you know what shuffle? I think it's called shuffleboard, but it's where like the pucks that slide on the stand.
Yeah.
So it's essentially this, bar slash restaurant.
I'm not like yes manning you to death. Like I actually do know this.
Yeah, okay. It's actually like a bar restaurant, but it's themed around those games that are just all over the place, and they're digitally tracked, so you can keep score and split into teams. So it was super fun. First time I've been.
Did you win?
Our team lost.
Okay.
we did the Fetii team against the plus ones.
Okay.
And the plus ones beat us.
Jeez.
So yeah, so that's sad to say. And then yesterday,
everyone went home happy at least.
I know, yeah, for sure. And then yesterday we went. My girlfriend and I went to ATX Casino.
Love
It was my first time there.
Very good.
So good.
It was good. It was good. We got like the octopus and shrimp, and then carne asada and a few other dishes, but it's a really solid place.
Did you get any drinks there?
I was going to say their margaritas
They're
are
really good.
Are they good?
dangerous. Yeah.
Really? They gave us a complimentary champagne for the birthday, so that was nice of them. So shout out to them.
Yeah. Actually, one of the owners I think lives in my building. Shout out to the Sienna again.
Really?
Yeah.
There you go.
That's
Can't beat that. Yeah, but it was nice. I enjoyed it. Turned 27. So some people say it's young, some people say it's old. I feel like I'm getting older.
It is insane to think like this guy, like you're 27.
Yeah.
And I mean, if my research serves me correctly, you're ranked on the Forbes 30 under 30.
Correct.
I mean, one, kudos to you. Congratulations. That's quite the accomplishment.
I appreciate it.
If you would have met me at 27, I was not doing what you were doing. So it's a huge compliment, but like maybe you could dive into a little bit of how did you get to the point or stage where you said Fetii is an idea that you want to take on?
Yeah.
I'm gonna jump in there because I feel like we have to take it a step back because I'm a Fetii fan. I know Roger's a Fetii fan, but like some people listening are probably like, what are they talking about?
Yeah. So for those who don't know, the unfortunate people who don't know yet what Fetii is, it's essentially a group rideshare, which we kind of coined that phrase for the first time because it really hasn't been done. And what group rideshare means is taking rideshare technology, right? You're familiar with Uber, Lyft. You can call a vehicle with the touch of a button on demand or pre-scheduled. But what's new with us is that we utilize high capacity vehicles, primarily 15 passenger Sprinter vans, so that groups or businesses can get one of these vehicles on demand with the click of a button with the same accessibility, affordability, and convenience of rideshare.
Yeah.
And everyone gets to ride together, right? So it's just a better experience than taking multiple cars, whether it's personal vehicles or rideshare. And it's obviously helping the environment. We're removing unnecessary vehicles off of the road. We just have a story. UT Austin just did a study on that, actually, of the impact that we're having in Austin with the congestion issue.
I actually saw your post on LinkedIn.
Yeah. So that was really exciting and awesome to see. But yeah, basically, groups and businesses prior to Fetii either had to split up the group or reserve a party bus or a charter vehicle days or weeks in advance, pay a 3-hour minimum for maybe just a 10-minute ride downtown, right? And have no payment flexibility where one person has to put a down deposit, pay an arm and a leg, and hope that everyone pays them back. Whereas with Fetii now, click of a button, this 15-passenger Sprinter van comes to you, everyone gets in. Everyone can pay separately by scanning a QR code. So we like to say you book it like Uber and Lyft, but you pay like Lime and Bird, the scooters with the QR codes. And we've just created this really awesome service that people have grown to love, and just a great community that's centered around bringing people together.
Sure. And I mean, Cass, maybe if you want to dive into any other part of it, I kind of want to ask a question, but I wonder, did you go to UT or?
I went to A&M.
Okay.
Yeah, so I went to A&M.
How does that feel that the article came from UT?
I know, right? Yeah, come on. Well, yeah, I know, seriously. And I love UT just because the school and just Austin in general has supported us so much. We're based out of here.
Absolutely.
But yeah, the biggest thing with UT and Austin is just Austin, because it's the first metro we launched in. A&M, if you're not familiar, it's in College Station, which is, basically in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like once college students leave, whether it's for the summer or winter break,
City dries out. I know I remember businesses would, change their operating hours, sometimes not even open on, just because, the city just dries up. So, how much of a real impact can you have on, they don't really have a congestion issue at the moment. Whereas with Austin, we've been here for 4 years now. And we've been a real asset to the community, and just with how many vehicles we have here and how many groups and passengers we're transporting, the impact is real. And obviously, UT Austin recognized that. And so that's why they came out with that study, which, was awesome. Selfishly, I want to know, do Aggies come party in Austin?
Yeah, they definitely do.
Okay.
Yeah.
You gotta get out of this small town.
I know. No, but the coolest thing with what we've done in terms of our marketing or expansion strategy. So for those who don't know, the Fetii markets, I'll try and list them off off the top of my head. It's College Station, then it's Austin, it's Dallas, Fort Worth, Lubbock, Houston, Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And what's really cool with, how we've spread out is that we get a lot of, Fetii users who utilize the service at A&M, let's say, and then they go visit their friends at UT and they can also use Fetii there. Or, during the summer, they go back to their hometown in Houston and they can use Fetii there. And so we're trying to get, this network effect where no matter where our users go, we want to be there so that we can continue giving them that Fetii experience.
Wow.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy to me that such a big idea like Fetii came out of College Station.
Yeah.
Because, College Station, I'm trying to think, what's the little party, the square? It's not
Northgate.
Northgate. Yeah. Northgate. So I'm just assuming, that's where Fetii, you take a Fetii to Northgate in A&M?
Yeah, probably that was, I'm not going to lie, maybe
Do you
85.
walk back home?
Yeah. No, that was probably 85, 90% of where our trips were going.
Okay.
When we launched there. Other times it was to dinners or venues for, sorority or fraternity events, or, a few businesses would use us for co-working events, but primarily it was to Northgate. And that's another thing about Austin and kind of these metro areas like Dallas, Fort Worth, and Houston, that we're seeing the usage, the use case for Fetii dramatically increase. So, for example, not only are people in Austin taking it to 6th Street, but they're also taking it to Moody Center for concerts. They're taking it to Austin FC for soccer games. They're taking it to Lake Travis for party barges. In metro areas, there's just a lot more use cases, which makes just the frequency of trips and the frequency of times where you can think, oh, let's take a Fetii, just that much more. So, we're super, excited about the growth we've seen, especially in these metro areas.
Got it.
Yeah. That's crazy to think that you kind of started this out of A&M. And when you started it, you were going to school there, right?
Yeah, it was my senior year. I like to say that the only thing better to come out of, the only better business to come out of A&M is Buc-ee's.
Oh.
I don't know if you knew, but the Buc-ee's.
Huge Buc-ee's.
Yeah, the Buc-ee's founder went to A&M.
Got it.
I have another one. Do you know the ring wraps on the Aggie rings that all the girls have?
Uh-huh.
That's the diamonds.
Uh-huh.
That's a pretty good business model that came out of A&M.
Did it get started by
Yeah, it was started
really?
by a Aggie, a girl, Emily, who started putting diamonds around the Aggie rings.
Wow, I didn't know this.
Oh yeah, my little sister, when she graduated, that's all she wanted was this $3,000 diamond wrap around her.
Yeah, they get
Aggie
hefty,
ring.
those rings. Yeah, I've got mine on right here.
Yeah, they're nice.
They're nice, yeah, but shout out to Emily then.
Yeah.
I think we got to get you with a nice
I know. I wonder we should maybe get Matt's blinged out.
I don't know if that'd be a good look.
Yours diamond wrap.
Yeah, necklace everywhere.
So your co-founder, did y'all both go to A&M?
No, so Justin went to UTD.
Okay.
And then after that, he went to California, and he had a web development kind of agency he was running.
Got it.
But I had known him since high school.
How'd y'all? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had known him since high school. And since high school, we always had kind of this same idea of kind of like, oh, what's creative that we could do?
Sure.
You know? So whenever he had an idea, he'd reach out to me. Whenever I had an idea, I'd reach out to him. So that kind of kept that communication open and that line. And ultimately it led to, hey, there's these two students at A&M who want to sell a party bus company. What do you think about getting involved in? The rest is history.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I would probably want to dive a bit further into that since you all went to the same high school.
Yeah.
Where's high school? Like, where are you from originally?
Coppell. So it's a suburb outside of Dallas.
Sure.
But yeah, elementary through high school, I went there, which very blessed to go there. Super nice place to grow up. That led to a lot of opportunities. So
is that closer, just for the audience, is that closer to Dallas, Houston, Austin?
Close. Yeah.
Station?
Oh, wait, what is closer?
Coppell.
Yeah, Coppell. Closer. It's a Dallas suburb.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, yeah. So it's a suburb outside of Dallas. It's close for those that know the area. Grapevine, Denton, Carrollton, Colleyville over there.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then maybe I'll dive into just another part of the business for Fetii. Has it always been multiple vehicles or like?
Well, it started out with one bus.
Really?
Started out with one bus, and I was driving it.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. Yeah. So every weekend, and it's funny because I think that's one of because I've heard people say, oh, I had that same idea in college, or I had a similar idea that I was going to do.
Who's willing to drive the bus?
Well, exactly. Who's willing to drive the bus, but every weekend too. So like while my friends and classmates were going out, I had to, get in the bus, drive it Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and deal with all the issues that come with that, taking it to the mechanic during the week. These were old buses because we couldn't afford much, right?
Yeah.
So they would break down almost every week. Something would happen, AC or radiator or something. So it was in and out of there. But yeah, I mean, just driving people around to and from Northgate, different places around College Station. And ultimately, we got to the point where demand was good enough where we bought another bus. So then I hired a driver who was driving the other bus, and I was driving the second bus. And then just rinse and repeat. We got to 5 buses. I had, delegated everything to a manager, and the drivers were driving. And that's kind of one of the coolest things about this process is that I kind of went through all the stages. And I think that's something that's important to where if you think, let's say someone wants to do a rideshare company. If you want to do a rideshare company, I think the most valuable thing you could do is have driven a lot for a rideshare,
for sure.
or something that's comparable like that. That gave us a lot of insight into what the obstacles and hurdles of the traditional charter bus and party bus industry had. Which, opened many avenues for us to say, hey, one thing that could be better is that these groups, they don't necessarily know when they want to head out. So let's make it on demand so that they can head out when they're ready, right?
Yeah. What's the typical wait time?
Typical wait time, obviously it depends during surge, whether it's on a weekend night during prime time, but on average, I would say it's about 10 minutes.
Got it.
Yeah.
So when you first started out, you were driving, which I'm really impressed by. I did not know that.
Yeah.
But I'm like, how are people getting the Fetii? Because I can't think at that point you had an app.
Yeah, no. Everything was so archaic. We had when we first bought the bus from the 2 students, they didn't have a website or anything. They just had a work phone, and they had a number and an Instagram. And if you wanted the bus, you would text the number. You'd have to text it, maybe a day in advance.
Sure.
And then the bus would show up at that time, and the people got onto the bus and would pay $5 per person cash.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah. And so I remember the early days after a weekend on my living room table in my College Station apartment.
Got a ton of fun.
You would think I was a drug dealer because it was just stacks of cash. I'm like, all right, there's no way the company can scale like this. And we were having issues too. We were finding out some of the drivers were skimping out.
Yeah.
And saying, hey, 10 people got onto my bus when really maybe 15 got on.
For sure.
And so it's like, any business like that, if you want to scale it, you can't be operating with cash like that.
Did you keep any of those drivers like around till present day? Like, have any of them
in College Station? There might be one or two.
Okay.
But whenever we first launched in Austin, there's a couple that have been with us for a long, long time.
That's a sign of like the fruits of your labor, right?
Oh,
like,
for
people
sure.
Still want to stick around.
Oh, for sure. No, the turnover on Fetii, the driver turnover on Fetii, is very, very rare.
Awesome.
Most drivers prefer to use our app for income opportunities because they just get paid so much better than other rideshare companies. If you think about it, a driver with one trip is generating 3 to 4 times the revenue of an Uber or Lyft trip because they can fit 3 to 4 times the amount of people.
For sure.
Right? While maintaining the cost profile of one vehicle, right? It's still the cost of one driver, one van. So the margins are just that much greater where we can share more with the driver. So that's been something that we've been really blessed with, where unlike Uber and Lyft, who are always spending so much money competing for drivers.
Absolutely.
We can focus more of our capital and resources on improving the app and marketing and all this different stuff because our drivers just are earning much more than any other option.
Man, you're like the that Drake line I heard back in the day. It's like Drake, he had a line that he said, "I make all the music that my friends party to." So it's like that time that you were taking away from partying.
Yeah,
you were really putting that time in.
That's
and
true.
That sweat equity to
that's true.
Build something great.
And
congrats.
No, I appreciate it.
Because you'd be like 21 maybe?
Yeah, 2021, and honestly, even after I hired the drivers, I still didn't go out on weekends because
you're still working, man.
Because something always would happen. A van would break down, or they'd have a question about the app, or this and that, and I can't be at the club. Can't even hear on my phone trying to answer calls. So really, I didn't go out, and that's what I talk about when people say that they would do it. It's like, would you really sacrifice years? And that's weekends. Right. And I don't think most people would, but fortunately for me, less competition is better.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
I love that. I always have so much respect for people that kind of go heads down, those younger years.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I feel like those people have very good routines. So I'm kind of wondering what your day-to-day routine looks like as a 27-year-old CEO. Do you kind of have a morning routine or an evening routine?
Yeah, the morning routine, I just like to wake up, and I know a lot of people say it's bad for you, I suppose, but I go straight to my phone and check emails and reply to the quick emails that I can before doing anything.
Are you a big zero inbox guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. If it's spam, delete it. If I need to respond. If it's something that, really needs a lot of my time, I'll wait till I'm out of bed, gotten ready, everything like that. I've got a dog, so that he always keeps me disciplined. Take him out, give him a quick walk.
I'm obsessed with my dog. Now, I gotta ask, what kind do you have?
I've got a husky.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
amazing.
So I've got to
He or
take
she
him
is
out.
a talker?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I already know when I get back home, he's gonna have a lot to say.
I got a black lab. I'm
oh,
I'm
nice,
obsessed, man. I'm
yeah.
obsessed.
Yeah, and he's my first. I got him the first year of when we bought the party bus company.
Wow.
So he's been a day one for sure.
He's chief dog officer.
Yeah. he's in a few of the Instagram reels, and pictures. He's the official Fetii dog, we like to say.
Love that.
Cute.
Yeah.
Love that. I mean, I guess I'll turn some of those questions to you a bit about the business and getting funding, because you talk about being 21 and really putting in that sweat equity to get some of that job done and build it and scale it appropriately.
Yeah.
How do you have time to find investors and pass your classes?
Yeah. Well, the one reason why we've been so successful is that we've never built the business around other people's money.
Okay.
So from the get-go, I'll give you an example. Just to buy the party bus business, people think like, oh, well, he must have a lot of money. Like, I can never do that.
Sure.
We had saved up some money. It wasn't a lot, but we negotiated with the two people who were selling it to do a payment plan.
Got it.
So it was just a little bit down, and then paying it off each month. And what were we doing to pay it off each month? It was the money that was coming in from
collecting fives, man.
Exactly. Yeah. And so that's one thing too, where, a lot of people think there's no way for them. Business is fun because you can get creative, as long as the person, sitting opposite the table isn't thinking clearly or whatnot, you can come up with some creative solutions to make everybody win.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, we relied on the business to grow it, obviously use some credit cards. And then once it kind of proved itself and people were using the service more and more, and we grew to other cities, people naturally wanted to get involved. Okay. So fortunately, we brought on some great partners. One of those is a venture firm called Y Combinator.
Yeah.
And Y Combinator were the first investors in a lot of good companies. They're based out of San Fran. They were the first investors in Cruise, DoorDash, although Cruise is having issues right now, but DoorDash, Instacart, Airbnb, Coinbase, Dropbox, a lot of others. But we've been very fortunate because they've given us great resources on top of the money. And so just different partners like that have allowed us to grow well. But that all came after we had kind of made it.
Yeah. So at this point, you've graduated then.
Yeah.
From
yeah.
A&M. Okay.
Yeah. So we graduated. We had launched in Austin because whenever we made our first rounds with investors, they were like, "Hey, this is a cool business, but will it work in a metro?"
For sure.
Like it works in a college town. Will it work in a metro?
Put it to the test.
Yeah, exactly. And so a lot of things we had to, go out and prove without, much outside capital assistance. And I think that's the best way to grow a business, because if you're dependent on outside capital, at some point, no matter what, those opportunities are going to dry up. And if you're left with a business that's just burning a lot of capital and not able to be self-sustainable, you're either going to end up bankrupt or you're going to end up selling a lot of the company more than you need to, where it's not even worth it at that point.
For sure.
I feel like when you bring in that investment, or when you started trying to grow to like metro cities, did you ever like have a moment where you were like, what the fuck is going on? And like, I don't know, if I was sitting in your shoes, I would feel like a great sense of overwhelm. Yeah. Like, this is a lot at a really young age.
Yeah. The thing is, I guess it happened quickly, but to me it happened slowly. So it wasn't just, I'm driving a party bus and then all of a sudden Feti's this, in 3 states, super successful. Right. It started with 2 buses. Then we got to 5 buses. Then we tried launching in Austin. And so, because it was a gradual process, it doesn't feel too overwhelming or surprising in that sense. But certainly, it's always good to take a step back and acknowledge that, wow, we've come a long way.
But that entrepreneurial mindset, like, it comes from somewhere. Like, is this mom, dad?
That's the age-old question.
Relatives,
right?
Like, did you see somebody else do this? Like, what motivated you to become an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I still ask that question every day.
Sure.
And my answer now is different than my answer was 5 years ago, and my answer today will probably be different than it is 5 years from now.
Sure.
But growing up, I always liked reading fantasy books. So
fellow nerd here.
Yeah, right. Percy Jackson, Aragon.
Lightning Thief.
Yeah,
that was the first book that got me into reading.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah,
big Harry Potter guy over here.
Harry Potter, I read a lot. Star Wars, I loved. Comic books, and maybe that has to do with it, where it's kind of a mindset of, hey, we're writing our book, we're writing our comic, and if you can, you want to be the main character in your book.
Yeah.
The protagonist.
Yeah.
And what does that mean? It means, creating something or doing something impactful for others, right? That hopefully is remembered after your time and is something bigger than you. Which you know, I think we're on the right track. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's also plenty of other variables that have to do with my childhood. Who knows? My parents are divorced, so you know, we'd have to go and do a therapy session to answer that question. Yeah, why do we think, or why are we the way we are? So.
Well,
I love that because Matthew's like saying like main character moment over here. And I also think there's something to reading and people reading a lot. I think that just means you're okay sitting alone with yourself.
Yeah,
sure.
And to grow a business, I feel like you have to be uncomfortable being alone, because while everyone else was like, you know, out drinking, trying to get girls, you had to be a little bit more heads down, focused on Fetties.
No, I agree. And thinking back just in college prior, I was very comfortable. I took a lot of time, kind of just obviously taking care of my studies, but also just kind of asking questions of you know, what's going on, whether it's philosophical or religious or economical, and trying to learn a lot about that and trying to understand just kind of what is this world that we're kind of born into, what's the history of it, and how can you, if you view life as a game, you know, how can you do well in it?
Yeah.
I always say that life's like a video game.
Yeah.
Like you really can wake up and decide to be like a different version of yourself.
Mm-hmm, certainly.
Yeah, I do it every day. I'm like, what do I want to wear? What do I want to look like? Who do I want to be today?
I mean,
Which
somebody
persona?
asked you the other day if you were a celebrity.
Oh, yeah?
I called Roger. Yeah, I was like, Roger, someone asked me today when I was getting a smoothie if I'm a celebrity. And I was like, it must be the energy I'm emitting today.
Yeah. Well, that's the whole simulation theory, right? I mean,
yeah.
Who knows? Maybe this is just a TV show and they're looking
A little bit of the Truman Show vibe.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, give me this then. Like, what chapter are you in right now for your own book?
In this game, it's hard to tell.
Yeah.
You know,
like if you had to pinpoint where you are at the moment.
Well, it's like, man. Drink some raw water real quick.
Shout out to Path.
Yeah. Electrolytes, right?
Right?
You have to be so careful whenever you're doing this type of stuff because things can change so quickly.
For sure.
I never take it for granted, and while the company's in a great position right now, and we've always had obstacles and we've also overcame them, like there's always ups and downs.
Oh yeah.
I'd like to think this is the beginning, you know, of Fetii. That's what I do believe, but you always have to be kind of that, not a pessimist, but I guess a realist that, you know, things can change very quickly. But let's say everything goes well. This is the beginning. We scale this to every major metro in the country.
For sure.
Hopefully get internationally.
And let's speak it into existence. You will.
And at that point, we've created such a valuable service that specifically, you know, with college age students. And what's really cool is that as this business continues to flourish, those college students that breathe and love Fetii, the Fetii experience, they graduate, right?
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, we're going to have all the mid-20s and late 20s.
Great marketing plan.
Yeah, and then it goes to what? Then we'll have all the 30s.
Yeah.
To the point where if we can make this a lasting business, we can have, it's kind of how Apple did it. They started really young.
Absolutely.
You know, a lot of the early adopters of the iPhone or the iPad, the iTouch, all those were young people. They grow up and they stick with.
I can't go without mine, man.
No, you're telling me. They stick with Apple, and that's kind of the thing that we want to do. And so, you know, I've touched a little bit about it on the past that as we kind of, you know, grow with our users, we want to begin offering them other services. And I think that's a big thing and a big vision of the Fetii ecosystem, is providing them with other services, whether it's content, podcasts, apparel, obviously just information, different rideshare options. Maybe we go towards, you know, providing, I don't know, but kind of the I'm just thinking off the top of my head.
I mean, you don't want to give away your secret sauce.
I was gonna say, as I watched him stop, like,
yeah,
there.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like you have really big goals, which is really inspiring.
Absolutely.
Have you had a moment where you were kind of like, oh, I've made it a little bit, like one of those moments, or bought yourself something like a car?
And I made it purchase.
Or something like exciting that you celebrated?
No, I mean, me and Justin, my co-founder, we don't pay ourselves a lot.
That's what I was going to ask.
And for the first, probably like the first year and a half, we didn't pay ourselves anything.
Yep.
And then after that, it was literally something super small, so that for accounting, it shows that we're employees of the company.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest, achievement was finally when we felt comfortable say, hey, let's give us an appropriate salary to where we're not struggling.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool. To where essentially we created this job opportunity and this salary ourselves.
Yeah.
Right. You're not just going out and trying to get someone else to give it to you. We kind of went out and put in the time and effort, and the pain and the joys to now be at this position where, all right, I can save some. I don't have to worry about rent. I don't have to worry about Zeus is my husky's food, all that stuff. So I think that's really cool.
Zeus, I love that. My
The
dog,
lightning thief.
my dog's name is King.
Yeah. He looks like a Zeus. He's got a nice coat.
You got Zeus, I got King.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. I think Zeus would beat a king though.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm kidding.
I promise you, my dog is like he could get beat up by the wall.
Oh man.
Like he's just a big.
No, Zeus is sweet too. But yeah, I mean, I think especially in this game, the biggest, I made it.
I feel like that salary is a big one.
Yeah.
It's nice, and it's not a big salary.
No.
Like we're one of the on our team. We actually get paid one of the least.
Yeah.
Love that.
But it's the fact that we're able to, I think, is super interesting. Because I know my mom. Whenever I told her, oh yeah, you don't have to worry anymore. We're paying ourselves now. It was like, oh, from where? She said, from where? How are you doing it? I'm like, from the business. It's making money. And she was like, oh, okay, nice. Because she's an immigrant. She's from Mexico, and she was very supportive, but didn't really, understand much of what was going on. She's never downloaded the Uber app or anything like that. So rideshare, she didn't know anything about that. But so that was a cool time.
So culturally, are you 100% Mexican? Or?
No, my mom's Mexican. My dad's British.
Love.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
How did
That's
they meet,
cool.
man? Like,
yeah, my dad was working on a cruise ship.
Okay.
He went to go work on a cruise ship when he was 18. After that, settled in California, and then my mom got introduced to him from her sister.
okay.
Who her sister was married to a man who worked with my dad on the cruise ships.
Got it.
Yeah. But that's another thing too that I've always enjoyed is having kind of that diverse viewpoint and perspective culturally.
Absolutely.
And I've traveled a lot, and I think one thing that's been really nice is seeing how different people are, and the same in some ways.
For sure.
Definitely different cultures are different, but within that same culture, you see a lot of similarities.
Yeah.
And I think that's helped me deal with a lot of different type of people, and more so than that, understanding kind of what type of person they are and how they grew up and how it affects them.
Yeah.
I love that. I think I'm kind of like you. Like, I love understanding things, and especially understanding people. Like, I'm always asking Roger questions, like trying to decipher people, because I just want to understand them at a deeper level.
You have a great sense of intuition too.
Yeah, like intuition. But Roger and I keep talking about misconceptions.
Oh yeah.
And so I feel like there has to be some misconceptions, not only about you, but maybe the Fetii brand as well. So I wanted to see, what would you say are, the biggest misconceptions about you? What's
the biggest, man? This
I
is
feel
your
like-
one-liner.
I feel like you've had to have gotten some shade, maybe even from people you went to school with. I feel like you've preceded your peers in a lot of ways by having this business at 27 years old.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, misconceptions. I guess the age is a big one. Obviously, when you're trying to do these big deals, they're going to be less trusting if it's a young person.
Like, what does he know? Or
what does he know? Is the business legit? And that's something that COVID actually helped with, because everything started turning towards email and Zoom, which it's not as apparent. So that certainly helps. You have a good signature pick, and the sky's the limit, right?
Yeah. Corporate on the top, pajamas on the bottom.
Exactly. But yeah, I mean, I'd probably say the age thing is a misconception. I'm trying to think what else.
I mean, that's fair. Like,
That is
let that be it. Like, you're defeating it daily.
Yeah.
And I mean, you have two people here in this room that think very highly of you. And I'm sure there's a large audience out here in Austin, not only in your hometown, but in other areas in states as well.
And it's not like the misconception has always led to negative things. Like with me being young, that's also led to a lot of opportunities.
For sure.
Because when you're younger, more people want to help you out because you're trying to make it, right? So whether it's press coverage or media or this and that, if you're an older fella trying to do it, it's kind of like, oh, he's trying to do it with whereas with a young person, maybe they're like, oh, well, look how inspiring, different stuff like
Everyone
that.
remembers that day when they were you.
Yeah, exactly. So so I wouldn't say it's bad or good, just the way things are. But fortunately, how Justin and I have built the business, our actions do the talking.
Yeah.
It's now we can walk in and it's hard for them to be biased against our age because they themselves have ridden in a Fetii and used our service.
For sure.
So it's like, hey, you can think I'm young, but you're sending
you used it before.
Exactly. So fortunately, we've gotten over that hump, and that's kind of how it kind of really led on and went to where if you've got a good business and you've got a good service, it really does speak for itself.
For sure.
We've been very fortunate to where, we do we didn't do marketing for the longest time. It just naturally spread like a wildfire because of word of mouth, right? We like to say whenever you convert one Fetii customer, you're converting 9, 10, 11, 12 who also utilize the same service. Right. So that week over week growth is exponential. And so for the longest time, we didn't put much money into marketing because the product would just grow and speak for itself. And it's kind of one of those things. Look, if you're not going to Fetii, what are you going to do? You're going to split up the group. And
who you don't know who you're going to get back.
Yeah, exactly. So that's been something that's been really nice. Just letting our work speak for itself and be a damned how old we are.
Well, I gotta ask, man. It's like you talk about your birthday, you being able to enjoy a nice meal with your partner.
Yeah.
I'm sure, and I don't want to assume. Maybe you can answer this before I get into my question. Were you even able to celebrate that famous kiss under the tree at A&M?
No, the century tree. No, I never did that.
Since you were working your butt off. It's your senior year.
No, but I had a girlfriend while I was working, and
okay,
yeah, no.
Well, good thing you didn't have that kiss.
I guess, yeah. Because I think if you kiss, I think the thing is you're gonna get married or something like that.
Yeah,
I forget what the tradition is. But no, I've been super blessed with my my previous relationships and my current relationship. I've been really blessed with the partners that I've had.
Good for you.
Yeah, I nothing bad to say about any of them.
How the heck did you find time to find a partner? This is something.
She's amazing because the last event we had, I dragged you here to come check out the podcast studio, and you guys showed up
to Pouch 6.
Yeah, at like 7 p.m. or something on a Wednesday night, and she came with you, and I could just tell from her energy like what a supportive partner she is.
For sure,
she's got boss energy, man.
And
she's killing it herself in her own domain as well.
Yeah, I just feel like as an entrepreneur, and we've talked about this, like it could be lonely, right? Mm-hmm. And then going home and having someone to like bounce ideas off of. I feel like it just makes you an even better leader.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, I'm super blessed with everything that's happened with me. But I'm just trying. Yeah, I mean, you go home, the cycle that these kind of startups go through, it's just ups and downs. You think everything's going well until you get one text or email. Having someone there that's supportive just for you to just talk about what's happening, I think is huge. And that goes the same thing with having a co-founder.
For sure.
Right? Having someone who you can talk about kind of what's important to you. or as a friend or even a partner might need that space where, hey, not everything can be about the business. So just having that support system for sure. I don't think I couldn't have done it by myself. I would not be here where I am by myself. So it's important to acknowledge that, but I've been super blessed in that domain for sure.
Is she blocking off all the, I'm sure, women throwing themselves at you?
Oh yeah, no. She's great. No other people are catching my eye. Okay. Yeah.
Well, that's what I was telling Roger, because I look at the Fetii Instagram, and you guys do have a young demographic.
Yeah,
and
sure.
I was like, damn, these girls are gorgeous on the Fetii page, like all these like college students. I was like, I wonder if Matthew gets the brunt of any of that, like these girls trying to throw themselves at him.
Yeah.
They go for the hug, and you're like, handshake.
Well, she's gonna hate me for saying this. I love her. But she slid in my DMs.
I love that.
Yeah,
So this is how you met. We love this.
She took things into her own
She's a true
hand.
boss, man.
For sure. But yeah, there's a funny saying. It's like no matter how successful a B2B founder is,
Sure.
he could have, exited for millions of dollars or IPO'd. He'll never be, the saying is like, no matter how successful a B2B founder is, the wife's going to have an affair with a B2C founder. and it's funny because just the B2C founders, the ones who like their service is being used by the masses, just for what, I mean, obviously there's a reason, but they just get so much more, attention than the one who built some, not boring, but build some software that's, being sold to some execs.
Yeah.
And they make a whole bunch of money that way. So I always think that's funny, but I mean, certainly, it happens, but
Yeah.
that's how it goes.
What was that first date like? I mean, if she slid in the DMs.
If she slid in, so first of all, I have mad respect for her as a woman sliding in the DMs.
Yeah.
Because I call that like the handkerchief method.
Oh,
like,
tell me, what is this?
Yeah, like if I'm a girl and I'm interested in a guy, I'll drop my handkerchief, right? So I'll slide in the DMs, and then he can choose to pick it up or not, But I think a lot of guys are scared to make the first move.
For sure.
So sometimes you have to go get what you want, and that's what she did.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, no, certainly. It was right after we had launched in Lubbock at Texas Tech, and so I was super busy. And so we were chatting it up a little bit, and she kept on asking, hey, are you free this and this? I'm like, I'm going to be in Lubbock. I'm not going to be available. And so she's like, okay, put in your calendar this date and let's go on a date. I was like, all right, that'll work. And it was like 4 weeks in the future. I was like, all right, I can't say no to that.
Sure.
And so we went on that first date, kicked it off, and the rest is history.
And there's still such a drive of that in-person experience, because I'm sure like having that message or that conversation via DM, you don't know.
Oh, for sure.
Get,
yeah,
right?
for sure. No, I mean, I went into it with, reasonable expectations.
Sure.
As I'm sure she did, but no, we kicked it off. And,
reasonable expectations. What a CEO.
No, but we kicked it off. She's great, super smart, driven, kind, beautiful. So
that's awesome.
Shout out to Ariel.
Hey, I wish you all the prosperity. Honestly, you deserve it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
what about you guys? What's the love life looking like?
I'm single, ready to mingle.
All right.
You know any guys that are over like 6'2"? Have them call me.
Well, look, all the female coworkers I have all say that Austin is not the place to date.
No.
Sorry, Roger. I don't know. It's to me. I mean, yeah.
It's been a wild ride, but I think when you meet the right person, you'll know
for sure.
And it takes time.
Are you single as well?
I've put myself out there, and I've actually been lucky enough to find somebody that keeps my attention. And,
nice.
Keeps you away from the outside world, but. It took a long time to get there, man. Honestly, it's been some different experiences, but it takes time, right? Like you know what you know, and you don't know what you don't know.
For sure.
I'm actually from New York.
Okay.
Before I moved to Austin, I was in a 7-year relationship. So,
really?
Yeah. So I had no idea how to date.
And that was your first relationship?
You could say
7-year one.
It was the first long-term relationship. I had some before that, but it was like. it was the impactful one for sure.
Yeah, we all have that one impactful one.
And then I had no idea how to be single. Like I was learning, and
Yeah.
and Austin was a stomping ground, but a learning lesson as well. Yeah. So
Well, that's good.
I'm taken and spoken for now.
Yeah, nice.
See, I have a similar approach to your girlfriend. When I want something, I just go after it. It doesn't always work out for me, but I always kind of...
No, yeah, and that, I mean, it shouldn't even be just in terms of relationships.
Right.
There's been so many, and I still try and work on this all the time, but there's been so many emails I've sent out where any normal person would be like, oh, this person's not going to reply back.
Yeah.
And we'll get a reply back, and it'll lead to something, and I'll look back with Justin or with the team, and we're like, hey, look, a lot of this, you know, if you go down the path of action where it came from a random email or application or phone call or text that you thought probably won't work, but it's like, what's the harm? What harm can it
nothing
do?
to lose.
Hey, that's what
Exactly.
happened when I reached out to you. When I
True.
saw that you were like getting involved with podcasting
Yeah.
with Fetii, I was like, I'm going to shoot my shot.
Yeah,
Drop
exactly.
your handkerchief.
I was like, let me see what happens.
Exactly. So I think that does lead. It's a good sign for success. Going out and trying to get it, because at the end of the day, no one's gonna do it for you
at all.
You know. So you've got to be your biggest advocate, and you've got to be, like I said, you've got to be the superhero of your story.
Yeah.
You know, no matter how kind people are, they're not.
Cape on.
No matter how kind people are, it just doesn't make sense for them to throw their whole life away to make sure your life is good, unless it's like a parent or something.
For sure.
Right? So you've got to be your biggest influencer and your biggest motivator and your biggest support system. So that's another thing, like you were talking about support systems.
Yeah.
It's great to have this support system, but at the end of the day, it's up to you.
You're your own advocate.
You know? So I think that is a big thing to take note of, and whether it's relationships or business or friendships or you know, with anything, with family members or anything, you taking the initiative, reaching out, I think is always going to play well in your favor.
For sure. I feel like a lot of people have like task paralysis almost with like their goals, you know, like, because I've done this myself where I'm like, oh, you know, I'll do the podcast when the time's right, but the time's never going to be right. Life's always going to get in the way.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure you've experienced that, like, as a CEO, like, life's always happening. What do you do when, like, something comes up and you're really overwhelmed by it?
Oh, those are the toughest situations, because those are the ones that I really do feel like take time away from my life in terms of the stress.
Yeah.
And it's just fight or flight mode. You either sit down, give up, and let something happen, or you've got to come up with different ideas. And that's why having a co-founder is great, because when something happens, we'll be on hour-long calls just brainstorming what course of action do we take.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I view, you know, those obstacles as they come. I get super stressed out, but we've managed to get over each one, and hopefully there's not a moment that comes that we can't get over.
Well,
yeah.
You know,
I feel like that's kind of like the hero's journey, you know, maybe from like reading some of those books, because I see you actually probably functioning really well in fight or flight mode.
Yeah,
which
you
is
got,
not,
you got a poise, man, to you.
Yeah, like you're like, I'm either gonna make this, like you're not gonna drop the ball. That's what I get from you.
I get so there are people that I've come across that are a lot more calmer in situations.
Sure.
But I think that's one reason why we can get over these hurdles, is because it stresses me out and it gives me so much anxiety that I'm not thinking about anything else.
Yeah.
And I hate it. I mean, it's Ariel can sense it, and you know, people can sense it where, you know, I'm sorry, I'm thinking about this. Like, you know, my mood is serious, you know, I can't even talk about anything else. And it might be like that for a couple days until I figure it out. But I think that's one reason why I've been effective in those situations, and I don't like it, but I don't think about anything else.
Yeah. You're a problem solver.
Yeah.
So I guess you being a problem solver and you having a marketing plan that's very different, right?
Mm-hmm.
I got to ask, was it you? was it Ariel, your partner, or was it your co-founder that came up with this famous Fetii question of calling your ex?
That was me.
That was you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And maybe for the audience.
He said last time he was in here, because we did a little mock interview with you.
Yeah.
Matthew said he would not call his ex.
Okay. So, and for the audience,
Out of respect.
let's tell the audience the famous Fetii question.
Yeah. So we did kind of we have some ambassadors or Callie, who does marketing for us, go out to campus and ask random students or people that are Fetii users, if you call your ex and they pass the vibe check, we'll give you a month or more of free Fetii rides. And passing the vibe check means you have to ask them, hey, do you know what Fetii is?
Okay.
And if they say yes, then they get the free rides. And so we would go out and ask people, and a lot of those videos blew up because you're just so captivated.
Absolutely.
Like, imagine if I had to do that. And I remember one of the women who did it. I mean, she was shaking. She was like, all right, he's not going to pick up. I think I'm blocked. And he ends up picking up.
What?
And she has to explain the question, and she's just like, okay, thanks, bye. And everything was good after that. But yeah, I mean, I've been looking for more ideas like that that are just captivating, that people would want to see.
It's a good one.
It's a good one, but it's run its course. We've done a lot of them. We got to come up with something new.
I like it.
You guys are so creative, though, because even I watched one of the reels you did. It's like the Love Island play.
Oh, yeah.
When you got a new, I guess call it castmate, but team member, really.
Yeah, that was Callie. No, the one reason why we've built such a great brand is because young people are working on this company.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a bunch of suits and ties, thinking, hey, what are the kids like now?
That's a bit of a risk too, right? Like you're taking a risk, but you're really building on people's potential.
For sure. And so, no, thanks. And to the whole team, we're all pretty young. I think the youngest person is maybe like lower 30s.
Wow.
But we've all got that kind of perspective of our users. So it's kind of like, we don't have to really ask the question, oh, what would our users like? Well, we can ask the question of, what do we like?
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, that's going to be similar to our users, if not the same.
For sure. It's very smart. And I would say for your ecosystem that's forever growing, is there versions of maybe access points that are set to come? Like, do you see a Fetii house that you want people to know about? Do you have something that's in the works that you could kind of give a little jewel away?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the name of the game. One thing that I found, especially, for example, with the X question that we asked on social media, is that a lot of, and those got millions of views.
For sure.
Those type of avenues kind of supersede the growth that Fetii as a rideshare company can do. For example, I mean, people in Los Angeles, where we're not launched yet, if it's just a rideshare company, they're not going to hear of Fetii. Maybe they hear it through some of their friends, but they're not going to get any use out of it.
Sure.
With kind of this media component that we're kind of working on and being creative with our marketing and social content, it provides value, right? It's entertaining content for people who don't even have access to the rideshare product yet.
Yeah.
And that's something that I've fell in love with, because it's, hey, we haven't launched here yet, but we've still got something for you. So that's something that I always keep at top of mind. Obviously, the main driver and the main goal is to get the Fetii service in front of everyone.
Yep.
I mean, that's why we are who we are, because of the great service we can provide for groups with the rideshare product. But that doesn't mean we still can't, work on different avenues to supersede that growth.
Yeah.
And get people exposed to the Fetii brand prior.
I mean, I saw the video and I was captivated by it, right?
Yeah.
So to know you have more of that content coming out, and that's like one of those jewels where you're saying like, hey, like be on the lookout for that.
Yeah.
I think I'm even excited because the first time I saw it, I was like sending it to Cass. I'm like, this is absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, and I don't know if any other content creator has done that question.
No, I have not seen it.
No. It's genius, though. Because, it puts you in fight or flight.
I remember, I know, literally. I remember, I think I got the inspiration. I'd seen somewhere they had to call their dad or mom and say something like a prank or something.
Sure.
And I thought to my head, I'm like,
My parents
what
would not appreciate that.
No, I would say like, what can I think of? Like, what else can they do? And I was like, oh, imagine if they have to call their ex.
Yeah.
And of course, you run into like, oh, maybe it's not their ex or whatnot, but you know,
It's still worth the play.
yeah. And so I'm trying to think of other stuff like that. It's tougher than it might seem.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to ask you though, since we can't call your ex,
Okay.
what's like the worst thing that your ex could say about you
The worst
in your
thing?
perspective?
Oh my goodness. I mean, I'm sure if they listen to it, they might say something else. Maybe. I don't know. I have good standing, I feel like, with all of them. Maybe that I can be too logical at times. If a problem arises,
Sure.
not having to do with the business, let's
No.
just say it's something in life. Maybe they just want to talk about it, be emotional, and kind of just have someone to hear. Whereas I'm like, all right, this is what we're gonna do. This is, and they're
Trying
like,
to solve the problem.
yeah, exactly. They're like, no.
Listen.
Yeah, exactly. So I'd probably say that's the biggest thing.
Fair.
I love
Fair.
that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I mean, I would say not only is that fair, I think a lot of guys have that problem. Like, I don't think that's something that's too far stretched or hard
Right.
to understand.
Uh-huh.
But it points us in another direction towards your current lifestyle and how you're living it. Do you see ways in which Fetii is going to change the dating world, right? Like, is there ways in which Fetii can offer an additional benefit that maybe you feel would be impactful for the world to know?
Yeah, I mean, what are you thinking? Like a Fetii dating app?
Hey, I mean, we're giving you the stage.
Yeah. I mean, you never know. Never say never. It's interesting to think about. I mean, Fetii itself with the rideshare product, one big thing that we're all about is bringing people together.
Yeah.
You know, and I already know from stories where they'll say, oh yeah, we had our first kiss in the back of a Fetii.
Sure.
You know, oh yeah, I met him on a Fetii, or I met him at a pregame and we took a Fetii together with the group or whatnot. And so naturally, you know, whether it's indirectly or directly, I'm sure Fetii is having an influence on relationships out there. So if I've matched unknowingly, if I've matched you and your boyfriend and girlfriend together, let me know. That'll be awesome.
And then we got to ask, like, we want you to leave a question for our next guest. Mm-hmm. We're not going to tell you who the guest is, but we want you to have a question that you ask them about their love life.
Okay. Give me a second to think about it. About their love life?
Yeah. Love life and or dating.
I love
Juicy.
relationships, anything, dating.
All right. What's the freakiest thing they've done? I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding.
We're sticking to it.
No.
You can't.
Using that.
Well, let's see. They might give you a media trained question then.
Yeah, might get a media trained question.
The freakiest thing we've done is kiss with our eyes open or something like that. Who knows what they'll say? They'll come up with.
This is great.
That might be a good Fetii question.
Yeah.
What's the freakiest thing? Maybe. But if they go viral,
Oh yeah.
yeah, we'll see.
Well,
That's not a bad idea.
That is going to be our question that we hold on to.
Yeah, what's the freakiest thing?
I cannot wait for our next guest to answer it.
I'm going to be listening to see what they say.
I know.
We appreciate that. I mean, Cass has this great saying, where can everyone stalk you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Instagram's good. LinkedIn's good for my fellow corporate people out there. And just keeping up with Fetii on Instagram. A lot of what I do has to do is pushed on to Fetii. So following the Fetii Instagram is always great, and you'll get exposed to a lot of good content there.
Yeah, the Fetii TikTok's awesome. Like, I'm not a huge TikTok user,
I'm obsessed.
but like even like CFOs, like they're watching TikTok.
Right.
Everyone's fucking on TikTok.
Yeah,
So
That is true.
No, Callie, who does all the TikTok, she's been doing a great job with that.
yeah, they're amazing. So kudos to her because they look awesome.
Shout out
So,
Callie for sure.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Matthew.
This has been awesome.
For coming on.
I enjoyed it.
We appreciate
Yeah,
you,
we
man,
really
honestly.
appreciate
Yeah.
you.
There's a lot you could be doing. Like to give us some of your
No. It's
Yeah.
a good combo. I'm happy to be here.
I didn't even realize like yesterday was your birthday. So that's, you know, if I were you, I'd be like hungover right now.
No. Yeah, no, but it was a good time, and thank you guys for having me.
Yeah.
Conversation's nice. I loved coming on here. The podcast dude is obviously beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And two great hosts.
Yeah.
We appreciate
What
you.
do we always say about in the lobby?
We like to close out the lobby in one way, and just to let everybody know, come back next week because it's going down.
Yeah.
Love it.
Woo.
See you guys.
You know.
It's so funny. We're so
Love it.
short.